So, what I hate about being in a rush. So, I went to the store, and the guy, like, I usually pay, for this, I usually pay, $15 for it. This guy charged me either $27 for it, and I didn't know because I was in a rush. Like I'm trying to go to the bus, and I can't get to the bus if I'm there too long. So yeah, I only had like probably 5 minutes for the bus. So like we in a rush, and he charged me $27 because I checked my card once I left. Um, on top of that, I wasn't gonna buy no lashes. I was just getting a price. He gonna say it was $7 for a little pack of strip-on lashes. I'm like, oh, you tripping? But yeah, like I need to. I don't know. I was just out of it. That's why I hate going out there when I feel like out of it. Um, but I knew I had to get my medicine. So yeah, he pissed me off. Like he really charged me extra. And I was trying not to be in a bad mood. So I did. I got some knickknacks for my son, and I put them in his stocking. He actually picked them out this time, and he thought he was gonna get them when he got home. I was like, nope, Christmas. um, yeah, I was just feeling some type of way. Honestly, I was very disappointed. But you know what? I had other things to do. I had to focus on getting back home because I didn't. I get worried. I kept asking if his feet was cold, and of course he gonna say no. But it wasn't really that cold. It was more so you gotta have the right shoes. So he had on his little brown Timberland boots. I think they look like Timberland. So I'm gonna just say Timberland boots. And I remember that he had a hole in his toe. So I'm like, I hope his toe ain't cold. Like, I was actually literally thinking about his toe the whole time I'm out there. I'm like, we can't walk back because if his foot is cold, it's going to be frozen by the time we get home. And it was wet out there as well, so I'm just like, no, yeah, we going to have to play it safe. So, yeah. Yeah, his feet was wet, so I made the right decision. Whew, I just knew it. I remember as a kid how our feet was feeling when we was walking to school. I was walking to school, man, and I was just thinking about that the whole time, and I was right. that night, I felt like I needed a breather, that I would get some type of clarity of what was going on, but I didn't. I felt, I seen, and then I felt. What I seen was confusing. What I seen was the memories of past trauma, something that I didn't know I couldn't understand because I didn't know the truth. But I knew what I felt. But I didn't know the truth. And that's what bothered me the most. I assumed in my mind because I didn't know the truth. And for this reason, that's how I became blind. I felt confused in my body, but my thoughts were clear. So this is when I turned around. Should I have gone on? It's like the decision wasn't mine. But why can't I get past the thought? Closure I will never be able to find, because the owner of this perception, or the owner of this trauma, isn't around anymore to give me certainty. I should have spoke at the time and addressed what was on my mind, but I didn't. And now they're gone and I will never know. But this is traumatic. This is something that just won't go away. At one point it did, until I was taken to the place where everything was exposed. Once again, I seen, I felt, and I became uncertain. But I can't speak up because I'm too unsure. And that door will always remain open.
I know there's something in the wake of your smile. I get a notion from the look in your eyes. Yeah, you built a love, but that love falls apart. Your little piece of heaven turns to gold. Listen to your heart when he's calling for you. Listen to your heart.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. And good morning. I don't know what I'm about to do. I just took my pill, and I don't know. But we gonna whip out the Bible. What y'all think about that? We're going to whip out the Bible, and we are going to read some verses, and yeah. So yeah, let's see what we are going to read. And we are going to get some things off of our chest, do some reflection, because everybody needs some reflection every now and then in ways that you may not understand. I just ordered my daughter a birthday gift. I mean, not a birthday, a Christmas gift. And I am excited about that. I will have to wrap it. Even though she may not be there for Christmas, it will be waiting for her. You know, it will just be waiting for her. Because I was watching this video on YouTube about, I guess this girl bought, this woman was showing this like realistic baby doll. And I always wanted a baby doll. I used to go into my mom's room because she had these like heavy set baby dolls that she got from my grandmother. I think my sister got them. But yeah, she got these realistic baby dolls that she got from my mother. I mean, that she got from from my grandmother. And they would always like sit on her, you know, bed stand, and you know, as time went on, they would go from place to place to place. Like I said, I think my sister got them this time. I don't know where they are. My sister probably got them. But I always wanted a baby doll, you know. And no matter how old we grow up, guess what? That baby doll is going to still be right there, you know. So if I had me a baby doll, just like my little teddy bear, I don't know where my teddy bear went. But if I had my teddy bear to this day, it would be, you know, sitting somewhere. But I actually never got nothing that I can actually just sit there and hold on to. And then as an adult right now, just reflect on, you know, my memories of having that, you know, stuffed animal or that baby doll, and reflect on my childhood. So hopefully my daughter holds on to this gift. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that she holds on to this little baby doll until she gets older, you know. And she will still have this baby doll to remember. You know, my mommy gave me this baby doll. You know, because when you give a gift, that's the thing. When you give a gift to someone, it collects that energy. It collects your memories. It collects your childhood. You know, even though it sits there to collect all that dust. Wherever place it is, it collects all that dust. So it actually means something. And that gift that I would give her means something. Actually, when before I had gave her, I think she was like 5 years old, I gave her this moon necklace. And it was so weird, but I gave her this moon necklace, and I wanted her to hold on to it, you know, but she was too young at the time, so she probably don't know where it is. I should have kept it until she was older, but I gave her this moon necklace, and I took her outside, and I was like, that's what your necklace is, a moon necklace. You know, you see the moon? That moon is right there around your neck. You know, it was like a black moon necklace, and it was really, really pretty. Like, you could see the reflection of the little colors. Just like I said, the night sky, that black, the rainbow inside the darkness, that's what that looked like. So, yeah. And I don't know, it was just weird things happening when I had that moon necklace. Like, when I remember going outside one time, and it was like a random frog just sitting there. I'm like, oh my gosh, is that a frog? It was sitting on the step, so I couldn't get back up. I couldn't get back in the house. And my sister came outside. I was like, oh my gosh, it's a frog. I can't go in the house. And you know, things like that scared me. So I'm just like, I can't even go around the house, honestly. You know, because it's right there. What if it hop on me when I'm trying to go in the house? No matter, like, I could go to the other side of the street, but like I said, I'm just like, you don't know how far that frog is going to jump. So I just stood where I was, and my sister came outside, and she was rolling. Like, she was laughing. She was laughing. And you should have seen how fast I ran up them steps when that frog moved. I was gone. But yeah. So yes, that is what a gift means when you give a gift to someone. It may be materialistic, but at the same time, it's the thought that counts. It's the thought that comes from the gift. That gift is a reflection of what that person meant to you at that time. That thought, you know, came from, that thought manifested that gift. So that is what a gift means, and I just want to share that. But I do want to read something in this Bible. I'm going to find something real fast. So we are going to read from Social and Spiritual Corruption. Listen to this message, you cows of Bashan, who are on the hill of Samaria. Women who oppress the poor and crush the needy, who say to their husbands, bring us something to drink. Sometimes, we can lean upon our own understanding, but there's a lot that comes with that, you know. So I always like to look, you know, look into similar resources. So this is almost 34. So I am going to look for that. It's right before Micah. Because, you know, every Bible has a different set of contents. So, this is Brandy's story. This is more of Brandy's story. Life couldn't possibly turn out okay if I had this baby, could it? Could I really be someone people look up to and respect? Could I enjoy life with the baby at 17? Could I even provide what the baby needs? What kind of mom would I be? Could I marry Jimmy, and would he be a good father to our baby? It was time to start making decisions. I knew I couldn't live with an abortion. Abortions can lead to guilt, depression, eating sleep disorders, and other things, not to mention they increase the chances for getting breast cancer and infertility. I knew I was going to carry the baby to term, but what I didn't know was whether or not making an adoption plan was the right answer for me. There was a point in my life where I was to the point where I was about to give my son for adoption, and that is earlier on in my video where I made the decision. And I told his father, like, I was not backing out, even though it scared me inside. You know, I felt like following through was beyond my knowledge. It was beyond my understanding. And I'm like, you know, if I can't get the help that I need at least my son will receive that that care and that nourishment and receive everything that he needs, because at that time, you know, I was told that he was authentic and he only, you know, he was picky and he couldn't eat much of what I gave him. So I took it upon myself to make the decision that, you know, maybe he needs proper nourishment. He needs more than I can give. So giving him to someone else was more of a chance for him. It would be a loss for me, but a chance for him. And I was thinking, like, you know, there was a point where his dad said he'd take him over. He would take him, and I guess when he spoke about taking him for the summer, that kind of gave me hopes to the situation. So I backed out of what I was thinking and that decision that I wanted to make, or that transition I was going to, you know, eventually, that I was preparing for. My son's dad said, like, he was like, I'll take him for the summer, you know, and then you can get your stuff together. That wound up not happening. But the fact that he said that, it just basically stirred up my mind to where, you know, okay, I'll have time to get myself together. So when summer comes, I'll allow him to go with his father. And the more I opened myself up to that thought, the more I was just seeing, like, oh, you know, I was seeing, like, maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea. Maybe I wouldn't have to worry about anything. You know, I was seeing signs. These signs was basically giving me confirmation that, and that validation that, you know, this decision wouldn't be bad. You know, it'll actually do some good. So as my mind began to change, and I was like, okay, my son will be safe. He'll be safe with his father. I can, you know, he has the money to give him what he needs. You know, if he needs this, he needs that. You know, as a mother, we tend to, you know, we tend to cook. We tend to, you know, do things. We tend to be stuck in our ways to where, you know, fast food isn't good for him, this and that and the third. But, you know, even though this is our perspective or our experience, you know, maybe if my son can tolerate it, you know, he can tolerate my home cooking, but at the same time, I feel like he wants more, he needs more, and I feel like his father could give him that financially. Would he on the other side, you know, financially he could be there to help out in that way. So yeah, he changed my plans. My mom couldn't even talk me out of it, you know, but he kind of changed my plans, and I postponed it. I was like, well, if you don't do this, I'm going to go through with it. But I wind up not going through with it, you know, because life happens, and as time passes, your mind just tends to go with the flow, and we begin to adapt to our circumstances. So I began to adapt. I began to accept. And where he couldn't follow through, I wound up following through. And it just showed me and proved to me that I could be that mother. You know, I could stand firm and be what I needed to be in that moment. So, yeah, he let me down. But sometimes when a person lets you down, it actually lifts you up, you know, in another area of your life. I didn't believe in myself at the time. I believed in myself. It's just that I didn't believe I was fit, you know, to be this mother that my son needed. You know, I was just picking out all of those different, you know, experiences that I had. You know, this experience with my son is much different than the experience that I had with my daughter. And the experience I had with my daughter is a much different experience that I had with my son. You get what I'm saying? But yeah, so I wind up, you know, I was slowly gathering the resources that I needed to and basically planning. You know, I wasn't planning too far ahead. I wasn't even planning, you know, as far ahead as I needed to, because, like I said, I was stuck on a stumbling block of my son's dad is getting him for the summer. But then eventually he started talking about, you know, taking custody and this and that. You know, I was open to it, but at the same time, I was just kind of, you know, kind of resentful. And then I started having my mom in my ear talking about, you know, if you make this decision, well, everything just started, you know, coming up to surface, you know, because of how my daughter's dad did me. My daughter's dad did me to where it's not as easy to see my daughter. Just like these holidays, it's not easy for me to, you know, spend that time with my daughter because it's all up to him. He's in control of the situation. I gave him that control, and I gave him that, you know, that trust, and he abused his power. I gave him that power, and he abused it. So I started thinking about that as well. I'm like, well, if I do this, maybe, you know, my son's dad will treat me the same way. If I give him, you know, he's going to take everything. And then he began to talk about food stamps. I'm like, well, we haven't even gotten to that point. You're already talking about taking my food stamps card from me if you have him. And I'm like, well, if you get him and you file for custody, all of that comes with the package. So why are you trying to take it away now before anything? before anything takes place, I still have to feed myself. I still have to feed my son. It's not only his food stamps on that card, but it's mine as well. So you can't just take it all from me. And this is just coming to mind because I was thinking about, it didn't even get to that point where I let that soak in or I let that sink in. But at the same time, it's just the food stamps on that card was mine, and it was his. So it's just like, I didn't think about that at the time, and that's what I could have told him. That's not only his food stamps. You can't just take over the food stamps card. But then it started to become kind of suspicious and this and that, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe I do need to go ahead and think about this adoption rather than, giving custody to my son's dad, because like I said, with power, that's the thing about men. They tend to try to abuse their power, get more than they're given, be greedy to the situation. If a woman, just like we was talking, like I actually heard this and then it was spoken back to me. You give someone a piece of bread and they take the whole loaf, and that's exactly what was, I felt like what was going on at the time. So, that kind of, it made me reflect, it led me to going to get this medicine. It was about these people around here that was mentally getting to me. But at the same time, if my son is going to be with me a little longer than I expected, and his dad can't make up his mind, then you know what? I'm going to go and try to figure out a way I can get help, to just bear with me type of moment. So that's when I went ahead and, I can't keep letting these people get to my mind, influence my decisions, and, just leave that space open for that person to come in and keep sabotaging whatever I do going forward. So then I go and I went and got the medicine. And I said, and I brought this to his attention as well. I'm like, well, I got this medicine, this and that. And then I was actually talking to him about, when you take him off my hands, then I could go ahead and, pursue. I can go ahead and, receive these pills, but as well as get my life on track for the better. And that's when I talked to my dad. I talked to my doctor about going get a psychiatrist, and they gave me the referral. So that was my plan, that's what I'm saying. I had it all together. I had my part figured out, because honestly, I was going to sell everything. That's another thing I was going to do. I was going to sell all of my furniture and sell all of this stuff. And then I was going to use that money and go back into the shelter and then start over from there. But as long as I was getting my medicine, that would keep me kind of in a stable mindset to where I can, work through that situation and figure it out from scratch. So this was my plan. Even with the adoption, even if I was going to put him up for adoption, I was going to that was still my plan. So then, like I said, he didn't follow through, and I wind up watching these freaking adoption movies of how kids were being treated in a certain way. They were being treated badly and stuff like that. And I'm just like, I became sensitive to the thought of allowing my son to go to another home for foster care, because you don't know what these people can do to your child. But at the same time, my child isn't average. My child isn't strong enough. I believe that he is strong enough, but at the same time, I didn't feel comfortable that he would be secure, because at the time, like I said, he was being labeled autistic, picky with his foods and this and that, very fragile, more fragile than other children. So I'm like, if I do this, 9 times out of 10, I have to worry about if my child will survive or he won't survive, because putting your child up for adoption and foster care is, you know, it could be good, but it could be bad, because you don't know where that child is going to end up. You don't know how that child is going to be treated, and they don't know what you know, and even if you tell them what you know, it's not guaranteed that they will treat your child accordingly. Because honestly, a lot of the times it's like, you know what, you gave your child up for adoption, so why do you even care anyway? But it wasn't like that with me. So that's just something that I was going through this summer. I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do, but at the same time, I knew what I wanted, and I wanted my child. You know, I wanted to be that parent. I wanted to continue on, you know, being the parent and the mother that I needed to be for my child. You know, I wasn't giving up on my child, even though it seemed that way. It was just circumstances, just like now, circumstances. Nothing isn't better, you know. My mood and who I am as a person is coming together slowly, and there are still times where I feel like, you know, I'm being judged for who I am. I'm being judged as the mother, you know, that's always out and about, you know, not caring about their child. And honestly, I care a little bit too much about my child. And my concern and my worry is based on, you know, doing for my child. And that is why I made that decision in the first place. So it's more of a survival, you know. Will my child survive under my wing? If not, then I am going to find a parent or somewhere else that my child will. And I weighed all my options. I even, you know, I went to my sister. Well, I had my mother go to my sister for me and ask her, would she be able to take my child if I couldn't, you know. I went through all those options. I was like, well, you had the, you was going to, when I did, I wasn't sure I was going to, you know, keep my daughter, and you said you would, but I guess the times that her life goes on, things change, and she felt capable then, but she doesn't feel capable now. So like I said, I was going through all my options. I was going to my family members, and I was asking them, would you take my children in if I couldn't? Would you take my children in if I couldn't? And there's something that's coming to my mind that's kind of making me feel some type of way, but I'm not going to let that out right now. I guess I will. Okay, so it's the fact that, you know, I actually brought this up to somebody, and I vented it, but it didn't get out, I guess. I don't know. So my mom took in my brother's kids when he was when his kids was going into custody. And I was just like, you know, I felt some type of way, because I'm just like, I've been in a position where I felt like I couldn't do it, and, you know, I was about to be put out, and I asked you to take us in. If not take us in, you know, I didn't really say, would you take my son in, but at the same time, if I was going to be put out in the streets, I would like, you know, the decision was more up to me. You know, if I was a children's services person, you know, this would be me asking you for me, you know, could you take my child in, this and that, and she couldn't, you know. And I was angry, you know, when I found out that, you know, you took my brother's kids in, but when I needed you the most, you couldn't take my kids in, because I felt like I was being put out, and I was going to be put out at that time, but I had to find a way for myself, because you told me no. But then I'm just like, you know, why are you taking my brother's kids in then, you know? If you wouldn't allow me the option, but you quickly take them in when I needed the help. And then that's when the person explained to me, and he was like, well, it was a different situation, you know. If it came down to it, to where, you know, children's services came in and was like, I'm taking your child from you, then she would move a finger. Then she would, you know, move. It always takes something for something to happen, but you can't make your mind up on your own. You know, if I'm telling you, it's like you don't believe me, but I'm telling you this, you know, and you can't do for me, but you're willing to do for my brother, not only for my brother, but his girlfriend, his baby mama's getting exactly what she wants. She got my mother taking care of her kids when all I wanted was my mother to take care of my kids while I get up on my feet. She's getting up on her feet, but she basically just took the chance that I could have had. You know, if you was to take my child in for me, I'm giving you that option. I'm giving you that choice. Can you take my child for me while I get on my feet? You know, I feel like she took that opportunity from me. You know, and the fact that I could think about this and I put it out there to her, I guess that made it seem like I was capable, when at the time I really wasn't. Mentally, I was devastated, you know. And I actually had a dream last night about, you know, that just brought up all of those, you know, all of those angry moments where I needed my mom the most, and what I needed everybody else got. You know, it's kind of unfair in that way, and I'm stuck in a position of, you know, I'm still in the same position. Like I said, my character changed. I'm a good mother, but at the same time, I'm still not where I need to be because somebody else got that chance. You know, and like I said, he said it was different. You know, it always has to be for something to happen. Just like people don't show up to a funeral. You know, people don't come together until there's a funeral. Until that time is gone. You know, that person died and now y'all come together. So does it take for, you know, the death of my spirit, the death of everything in me for you to come, you know, do what needs to be done? You know, does it take for the children's services to come and take my child away from me so you can see that I needed you and my child needed you and we needed you? You know, so that's just something, you know, I didn't want to talk about. But that's honestly how I felt. So that is what was going on. Like I said, my situation hasn't changed. I'm still having financial problems. I'm like I said, I'm more capable, but at the same time, I'm still being held down to where I can't make that leap where I need to make it. I can't do what I need to do because when I get mentally exhausted, everything just falls. You know, when I have a plan, it goes away because mentally I have exhausted myself, and now I have to start all over because basically it's like your mind relapsing. You know, your mind was like this, and then, I mean, you had everything together, but as soon as your mind reaches that exhaustion point, it flips over, just like that cassette tape. When that cassette tape is done and through with the song, it flips over, and then you know, there's another, you know, it's on you to build another playlist so that when it turns over, you still have something you can continue on from. And that's how it was for me, you know, and that's how it still is for me. And like I said, when I've reached that exhaustion, everything just starts from scratch. I start from scratch. And I'm back where I'm back every single time because there's still a song on that playlist that hasn't, you know, there's still a song on that playlist, you know, and that song is still bothering me, and that tape just hasn't changed, and it's the same old songs on each side until, you know, I get that chance where I can actually put in a new tape and set that one aside, but I have not been given that chance, you know. And like I said, I go out and I make the same steps, I make the same moves, and I'm hoping there will be change for me, but every single time there's no change because people stay the same. Even when you think, you know, time will change, they still, you know, it's something about it that, you know, you can reach out and they're still smacking your hand away, you know, every single time. So yeah, same old sad song. So we're going to continue reading. I didn't know the laws regarding adoption. I didn't realize I could choose a loving, secure family for my baby. I didn't understand that I could still be a part of the baby's life if that's what I chose. I only thought that my baby would never know. I really did love him, her, and that's the only way I could choose to give the baby up. All I knew was what I felt like to think I wasn't loved, and I couldn't do that to my baby. I didn't know babies who grew up in loving, secure families feel love whether or not they are adopted. Sure, it would be extremely difficult for me to carry this baby to term and then say goodbye, but was it the baby's fault? I had made some poor choices in my life. Should I bring this baby into my world or of mistakes? I struggled with the decision for a long time. It would also be very difficult for me to parent the baby. Whether or not I chose to marry Jimmy, I would be committing to love and nurture this child for all of its life. Would I still be able to become a doctor? Probably not. Could I become a success anyway? I didn't know. Could I look into the future and have any idea of what my life would be like in 10 years? No, but I did know I was looking to myself for answers, not to the ones who loved me most. I couldn't stop thinking, does anyone really love me? How could they? I had betrayed them. I had promised my mom, God, my brother, and my dear friend in Germany that I wait for marriage. I promise. People who don't keep promises aren't trustworthy. And that's how I feel. You know?
Yeah, please.
That's how I feel. I feel like I do so much, and I prove so much, and even if I prove it, they still don't believe in me. People still don't believe in me. They don't believe in my word. They don't believe in me at all. You know, I can prove so much, and I can give so much, but by the end of the day, I have given you all of this, and still, you're here to say, I don't believe you. You know? Do they deserve to be loved? I didn't think so. My dad didn't. He broke his promise to my mom. He even broke the promise he'd made to me when I was younger to stay married to my mom. I told myself that people who don't keep promises aren't worthy of love anymore. So all that church stuff I've been hearing couldn't possibly be true about Jesus loving me no matter what. I didn't deserve to be loved anymore. And there's a lot of things that we do. But, like, unlike people, God gives chances. Jesus gives chances. You know, I have been given so many chances that I can testify right now. I have been given so many chances, the same chances that people take away from me. So these are questions. What answers for my problem have I heard from others? These are questions you can reflect on. What answers to my problems have I heard from others? What are, and even, you know, answers to my problems have I heard from others, other people experience and stuff like that. You know, you go out and you talk and you there's been plenty of times where I went out and I conversated with someone, and just that conversation with someone was an answer to a problem that I was facing. What are some of the positive aspects of these answers? What are some of the positive aspects of these answers I'm hearing? What positivity did you get from the conversation? What are some of the problems with them? What are some of the problems with them? What are some of the problems that came with the conversation? I'm guessing. So Brandy's story, recreation. I was living a self-centered life. I wanted to be loved. I wanted people to know and understand my hurt. I wanted to be able to have sex with my boyfriend without any repercussions. After all, isn't that what everybody, especially TV and magazines, tell us today? It's all about you. Do what feels good to you. You don't have to have commitments, have safe sex. After all, they rarely end up pregnant or with an STD on TV. Don't we all want what they have? I did, but it was wrong. They're wrong in lying to us. That life doesn't come without consequences. 6 out of every 10 women will become pregnant before the age of 25. The rate of STD growth in this nation alone is horrifying. Frequently, people don't even know they have one, spreading it all around for years, but they test positive. These are ways that people live lives that are less than what God intended. I was living the lie. How could I know any different? I could know because I have been told. Some of us haven't. But regardless of whether or not we know, we can all change. We can find a life that is fulfilling, rewarding, and exactly what we were designed for. To begin with, we must decide that we are going to do for ourselves before we can decide what we're going to do for this baby. Me and a certain friend, like when I first moved here, I met this guy, and this guy was a friend to me. Like, he stuck around for a long, long time. No matter what we went through, no matter what relationships we had, we will always come together and conversate. You know, we will always come together and mend what everybody else broke in, somehow, some way. And this guy was just telling me, you know, he was like, remember all these years, these people kept saying this and that about us, talking about, you know, I slept with this person, I had this, and you slept with that person, and you had this. You know, people who intervene into a relationship that don't mind their business just to corrupt what you have, to destroy what you have, to break down to the foundation what you have, and eventually, if they make it to that foundation, they'll set it on fire. They'll make sure they destroy everything. You know, and he came to a point where, you know, he feel like he has to prove everybody wrong. He has to, you know, clear up what they made and what they're trying to destroy, because his foundation was his business. You know, he does tattoos and stuff like that. Now it's not only, you know, the relationship, you ruined the relationship, or maybe you haven't, but now it's carrying on to my business, to where now the people, the customers that's coming to me have to, you know, now he's dealing with that, because now it has transpired to the point where now you're affecting people. You're affecting my customers, to where they might not come to me because of all of the stuff you spread on me. So being a business or entrepreneur, he has to go out and get this proof, because it's required, it's necessary for him. So he go out and he goes to, you know, the clinic, and he gets tested for everything, and he had got all of these papers proving, you know, I don't have anything. As much as we were intimate, we don't have anything. I don't have anything, you know. And I was just like, you know, he was like, you know, he was like, well, I never got anything. Well, when I say we, I said, well, I was telling him, I'm like, well, I don't have to prove myself to nobody. You know, I already knew I never had nothing, but because they're on the outside looking in, they're trying to make their way in. They're trying to get inside. You know, that's all they're trying to do, is break down them walls to get inside, you know, to make you weak so they can get inside where you are, because they never had a chance to get inside. You know, so they're trying to break down that wall of friendship, break down that foundation of any relationship that you have with someone else that means a lot to you. They're trying to break through. And so, like I said, I've always been a point. I've never actually been to that. You know, I haven't been. You know, he's a little bit further than me. Like I said, he has something to prove. He has to prove himself because it affects everyone else. I'm not in the same position with him as him, so we're in two different experiences, to where I don't have to prove anything to y'all, but he has to prove himself because of his life. Our life are separated, so he has to do something differently. You know, he can't just walk how I'm walking because his experience is different. So yeah, that's just based on how she feel about, you know, people, you know, sabotaging what you have and trying to make you feel like you have to step outside yourself to prove them wrong, because words go a long way. What you say about other people go a long way, and you can take away chances and opportunities because you have, you know, because you have spread this rumor that went on for what, 4 years, and now it's to the point where now they have to step out of their comfort zone to prove these people wrong, because now you are destroying my future. You are you're messing with my future now. So now I have to, you know, step outside myself and do what I have to do as a person. I could know this. I could know because I have been told, some of us haven't. But regardless of whether or not we know, we can all change. We have we can find a life that is fulfilling, rewarding, and exactly what we were designed for. Hold on. Did I read that? That people live lives that are less than what God intended. I was living the lie. How could I know any different? So yeah, it took for him to, a lot of things it can also affect you mentally. Mentally, you're saying it so much that eventually I start to believe it. So now I have to react. I have to go out there and drop believing in myself to go prove y'all wrong, because y'all got into my head to a point where I don't even believe myself. So now I have to step out and prove myself, wrong or right. That's what people does. People take you to this point where they destroy who you are. You destroy my identity, because now I have to go out and, you planted so many seeds in my head that it filtered out me. So now I have to go back and do what I have to do to get me back, So, yeah, something like that. So it's like, I was living a lie. How could I know any differently? Because, you've been filled up with their lies to the point where now you have to do something differently. Bring yourself to know, differently, I guess. Jesus, so rewarding in exactly what we were designed for. To begin with, we must decide that we are going to do for ourselves before we can decide what we're going to do for this baby. Jesus brings us forgiveness and allows us to begin anew. He has been tempted just like we have, and that is why he gave his life for us. He knows the tremendous strain we are under to live a worthy life. We can't do it alone. There is no way for us to succeed in life without him by our side. Jesus gave us life as an offering, a sacrifice, and he did it for us. When we accept this, we are on the road to finding unconditional love. This is the kind of love we are all longing for in the depths of our souls. Sex cannot provide the connection we desire. No one else can completely fill our empty hearts. God created us for relationship with him. He sent Jesus into the world to win us back. So going to the part of finding unconditional love. When we accept this, we are on the road to finding unconditional love. Like I said, there was a point where I found unconditional love. I was talking to, one of my friends, and I was telling them, they was asking me about unconditional love, and this is where I feel like that ugly side of me came out, because, I was like, I used to be in a place where I seen unconditional love. I felt unconditional love, and I was unconditional love. There were a couple of there was actually one time I actually felt that, and I always, wanted to go back to that part of me. But now that, it's like life had put me in a position where I didn't even want to reach that side. I didn't even want to know that side anymore, because now I'm constantly fending for myself. Anytime I get a little bit close to that unconditional love, it's taken away from me. It's stripped from me. It's like getting anytime you get, like, you got a bottle of water. Let's say you got a bottle of water, and you got, this much love in there. You get that little bit, and here comes somebody knocking it right out your hand, or taking it away from you and drinking it and stealing it and this and that. And I'm like, I'm to the point where, I don't even want it no more. I don't, because I know how people are, and I know when there's a light in you, someone is easily someone comes and they smack that lamp to the ground, or they blow out that fire, or they turn off that light, or they break the light so that it doesn't come on. That's what I have experienced, and I'm like, that's what I told him. I'm like, you know what? And I said it pridefully and arrogantly. I don't want love, but that's what they made of me. That's what my experiences made of me. I don't want to see unconditional love. I don't want any parts of unconditional love, because I know how easily it is taken away from you, But that's before, at first I was building my relationship spiritually, but that spiritual relationship was, I had a foundation with that spiritual relationship. But eventually when you step out of, your it's like stepping out of your home. You had that unconditional love, and you step out, and now it's like, you believe in yourself. I believed in myself to the point where I'm going to step out, and not more so of testing the waters, but I'm going to step out because I'm just so spiritually, I believe in myself that much to where I'm not going to fumble. But that's the thing when you don't have that foundation spiritually. When you don't have that foundation spiritually, no matter how much, it's like you built yourself up. You had that foundation, and you had that seed. You had that seed to the point where, you built from that seed. But then over time, you was feeding that seed, but then you stopped feeding that seed. You stopped feeding that flower. But it was still coming up from something. But then you have gotten to the point where it was all of this stuff that started to intervene with it, to the point where that flower needed that one thing that you had, let go of in your mind, because, your seed needed that one item, but that one item was kind of unstable. That food that you was receiving, you kind of became discerning of it. You believe, but at the same time, it's just like you taste it, and it's just not, it's not how it used to be, or you're not getting anything from it. It's because too much has been, you have filtered out that plant. You filtered out that one thing that was feeding that plant, to the point where now that plant had died, and you want to believe that plant is still there, but that plant died long ago. So then you come to this realization later on, that you came to your realization later on, like you didn't fully let go of that plant. You still believe that there was some way I can restore, revive, replenish this soil, to where that plant or that flower will eventually break through. So that's kind of where I was at. I didn't realize that plant was dying or dead. I didn't realize it, but when I came to the realization, it was probably already late, but I still believed that I can make something shake with this seed, with this dead plant. I can do something about it. I didn't completely give up. Even when I didn't know I gave up, I wind up watering that plant, not knowing I was watering it, and I seen it come up again, But that's the thing. Every time that it came up, some scavenger or some, creature came and, was basically, nipping at it. And, it died, and it kept dying, and it kept dying. So it's just like I got to that point where I'm going to let this plant go. I'm going to let this plant go, and I am going to start again, because, and I let it go. And that was what I was basically telling this person. I let that idea go. I let that go a long time ago. And I'm not looking back at it, That's just where I am at now. I'm not looking back. I remember, I still remember, but I'm not looking back because I know, where it ended. If that unconditional love ever comes back, it'll come back in a way I won't suspect it. It'll come back in a way, if that plant grows, it'll come back in a way I won't suspect it. You know, it'll come back in a way where I'm blind to it. If it's for you, it will find its way back home. So yeah, even if you neglect it and do all this other stuff to it, I'm just playing. But honestly, if you turn your back, that if it's for you, it'll return. It'll come back home. It'll find its way back home. You just gotta believe. You let go and you believe. So I was at, when we accept this, we are on the road to finding unconditional love. This is the kind of love we are all longing for in the depths of our souls. Sex cannot provide the connection we desire. No one else can completely fill our empty hearts. God created us for relationship with Him. He sent Jesus into the world to win us back. But Jesus' death for us was not the final word. God raised Him from the dead so we could also have a renewed life. That same resurrection power is available to us. We will continue to fall. We all do. We will continue to look for love because we were created for intimacy and relationship with others and God. But our hearts were made for Jesus and God. Jesus, and they will stay restless until they find Him. Jesus is a true Lord, our ruler of the world. He offers the world His love, which leads us to the only life that is truly life. But He needs our honesty. He knows who we are and what we have and what we've done. If we honestly confess to Him and become His followers, we will forgive everything we've done and set us on the path to a new life. I can't make that decision for you. I can only tell you what happened to me when I made it.